Deciding which credit card or loan is right for you is like trying to choose where you want to eat for dinner. Except when you finally get to the restaurant, the menu's riddled with jargon that no average foodie could understand. So at Credit Karma, we keep things simple. We show you personalized recommendations that align with your money goals and help you turn the confusing fine print into terms you can actually understand. And as a cherry on top, we provide a detailed overview for a new card or loan before you apply. That way, we can help you make decisions faster and with more confidence. Download Intuit Credit Karma today to get started.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All Too Real 2. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, is...
Sesame Strip Mall in Carta.
You're not getting naked in a mall, are you?
No, not this time.
Okay, I mean, there was that one time.
Yeah, I got a restraining order against the mall. I can't go in there for like 2 years at least. Something like that. So, which is okay, because I don't really like malls anyway.
No, nobody likes malls.
Not anymore. They used to be fun. Yeah.
At least have arcades and shit. That was fun. But yeah.
Yep.
The good old days. Back when they had arcades and Payless shoes and Radio Shack and
all this stuff was, like easy technology, was meant to make life easier for people, but then it took away some of the joys that came, with, like, for example, going to a Blockbuster or Family Video or whatever came before that, and actually going to a physical store and renting a movie and just kind of browsing through the catalog. And maybe buy ND from the front counter or going to the mall, because it was all sold as like, oh, you don't have to leave the comfort of your own home, and isn't that great and all this stuff. And yeah, at first it was kind of like a nice, cool little novelty, and now it's like everyone has the same story about how they'll just spend like an hour browsing through Netflix, not even watch anything. They just spend the whole time browsing. So it's like, so how is that any different than going to the physical store and browsing through that for about an hour before picking your movie? But at least in that, you were actually physically at another place and you actually could interact with people. And I don't know, I have a lot of regrets lately about technology of how things are supposed to make everything easy for us, and it did, but there's kind of like a backlash to it. That was kind of a random tangent about strip malls, but it reminded me of malls too.
It does tie into this movie that we're covering, which is by the fact that a lot of businesses close now, and when the moment that they're empty, they're taken over by a Spirit Halloween every year.
And that's all interesting thing of itself. I haven't really done the research on that, but that's a really interesting concept. That like how do they do that? They just find what's closed and they just go set up shop for a week or two or a few weeks. And
yeah, I mean they'll have to find something in the area, and it's usually something that's in between leases or has yet to have the new store move into it, and they take it over because of it's they can rent it for 3 months or 2 months or whatever, and it's a lot easier than paying a full year lease on something. Yeah. So and the usually the people that own the property are happy because they're getting a little bit of extra cash instead of the building just sitting there empty. So
yeah, it's a very interesting business concept that they've got going on, where they don't have a store.
My city this year doesn't have a Spirit Halloween. So,
okay.
Yeah, I guess there wasn't an empty building for them to go into or something. I don't know.
Or maybe just toss it. Sure.
Yeah, or one that worked out, because we do have some empty buildings in town, but it's not a lot of the empty places are smaller, so it's you can't really set up a Spirit Halloween in a closed carry out or something. So
yeah, I didn't realize how big how big they were with all the items that they sold and stuff. I thought it was always a small store. I didn't realize how
it's huge usually, because I mean they'll go in something like an old Circuit City or an old Toys R Us, as in this movie, or some bigger places like that. So Yeah. It's they're owned by Spencer's Gifts. Yeah.
Oh,
Spirit
okay.
Halloween.
Yeah, I know them.
Yeah, they're the ones that created it. So, yeah, but right now we're going to be covering not the store Spirit Halloween, but the movie Spirit Halloween, which is the scariest film I've ever seen in my life. I figured that this would be a good one to have premiere on Halloween. So,
because it's called Spirit Halloween.
Yes, and and it's a frightening film. I mean, it gave me nightmares for days. Either that or I ate something bad before I went to bed. I'm not really sure what, but
maybe ate some what kind of cheese is it that gives you weird dreams? There's a specific type of cheese that's known to give you just like insane dreams. Whatever.
Well, all cheese does to me because I like to lace my cheese with LSD. And, wait.
Well, yeah, I guess that will do it. Munster? I don't know. Not Eddie Munster, but like
It'd be funny if Munster cheese is what gives you nightmares, So,
yeah, it's like
it kind of sounds like Monster.
Someone should do a meme called Eddie Munster and have like his face be cheese or something like that. Or
we should get a big block of Munster cheese and carve it to look like Herman Munster or Eddie Munster or Grandpa or something. So yeah,
you should make a shirt for the our store, the Eddie Munster, with like a Munster cheese as his face, or like transparent, maybe
yeah. Like I should try that.
What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying about the shit. Oh yeah, about the movie being scary. It was kind of scary, but like for different reasons.
Yeah.
Not so much like what you would get from like a traditional like horror film.
Yeah, it wasn't really a horror film, I don't think, but yeah.
It was just, I mean, like, there were some parts, like, with the stuff they sell were pretty scary. Like, the skull people, like, really tall. That kind of freaked me out. At one point, there was, like, a weird thing with, like, 4 legs that was, like, kind of just crawling around. Shit like that, actually, that does scare me, though. Like, I kind of wish that Halloween wasn't, like, so scary, like, when you go trick-or-treating, like, with kids. It's like, do we really need, like, something, like, that's going to terrify these kids? Like, can't we just have, like, a fun little thing? Like,
well, it just depends on what you do, There's, and I think I like the fact that this movie exists. I mean, before we get into things, this is, I guess, my initial reaction that we usually start with, is the fact that something like this movie is not so scary that you could probably watch this with your kid if you have kids, or your niece or nephew or whatever, and it wouldn't be that bad,
Yeah, like I would say,
it's not like watching Saw or Scream or something,
No, so. No, I would never watch that. God, I hate those movies, the Saw movies. Yeah. The first one was all right, but all the other ones more gruesome.
My little 5-year-old niece was obsessed with Scream because her dad let her watch it, which her mom, my niece, my great niece is the 5-year-old great niece. Her mom was really upset that the dad let her watch it.
Yeah,
she became obsessed with Scream, but now she's scared of it, so that's good.
It's probably because she didn't really understand it at first, and then
but she was getting kind of scary, like liking it, like in a weird way, like it's like you're supposed to like Coco Melon or something, not this, it's like
Well, sometimes people actually like to scare themselves. And that's like part of like a human experience as well, where for some reason, like we almost like to put ourselves in like a state of like pseudo danger, because I don't really know why. Maybe just to like hype us up, or maybe like prepare us for something scary that would happen in real life. Or I just noticed that like people will write stories that are supposed to be terrifying or whatever.
Yeah, I mean the thing is with it's the adrenaline rush too of being scared that we actually you get a bit of a high off of it. So it's kind of a psychological thing that, it's because you get that adrenaline rush because you're trying to protect yourself.
Yeah.
But people get off on that too. So
yeah, I know, it's like adrenaline junkies. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like I'm gonna go skydiving or whatever. I'm like, I don't know if I'd ever do that.
Yeah, I almost did once just to try to get over my fear of heights, but yeah.
I mean, I would have to like quadruple check to see if I actually had a parachute for real. Like actually more like 100 times check, and then. Because I saw this video on YouTube a few weeks ago where it was this guy who was supposed to be filming skydiving, but then he accidentally took off his parachute pack and put over the camera pack, and so he pretty much just fell to his death.
Oh,
and he's
jeez.
recording himself dying, and
Yeah,
he's just like, "Oh my god," and stuff like that.
That's scary. Yeah, I almost went went skydiving once with a friend of mine. He was in the 101st Airborne in the military, so he used to go skydiving all the time in the military. So he was going to teach me one time, and but
it's a different
it's
a different type of thing when you have like a mission at hand. So you're kind of thinking more about the mission as opposed to just skydiving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your brain's kind of in like another place a little bit where you're thinking about that thing. So you kind of just jump, you're not really thinking too much about it. Whereas when you're skydiving, that itself is the mission. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit different, I think, psychologically. But I don't know if I'd ever do it. But anyway, I'm going off on like tangents.
Yes. Anyways, so what was your initial reaction to the movie then?
It was okay. I didn't hate it, but I wasn't like really huge about it. It was, it was. I think it was just decent. It's not something I would watch twice.
Yeah.
It has, some good actors in it, like Christopher Lloyd. I forgot her name.
Rachael Leigh Cook.
Yeah, Rachael Leigh Cook.
And Marla Gibbs.
Yeah, but it was. I mean, it wasn't bad. I wouldn't say that it was a bad movie. It had some pretty.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't horrible. The plot was a little disjointed, in my opinion. But I mean, the movie was only 82 minutes. It wasn't even an hour and a half. I think. I don't usually say this for this type of movie that, is like a kid's Halloween type movie. I think this could have benefited from about 15 or 20 more minutes.
Yeah, I mean, because the main part of the story didn't even start until like there was like a half hour left of the film, and that's like when the big just started happening.
And there was no character development much. I mean, there was a little bit, but not much at all. Like
it was hardly at all.
Yeah.
And also too, the credits were like 6 minutes long. I'm like, for this movie, really? Like,
yeah, and that might go into the running time too. So
that's what I'm saying. I don't think Avengers Endgame had that many minutes of.
Oh yeah, but yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, I'm sure it did, because the number of people involved in Avengers Endgame, equals like probably all of the equal to all the words in the Bible, So
yeah.
Anywho, so what goes down in this movie here? First off, I should probably give some information here about the movie before we get into that. Yeah, it's Spirit Halloween is the name of the movie. It came out in 2022. It was directed by David Pogue, and it's his first film that he directed. Prior to this, he did like cinematography on some shorter films and other things like that. But this is his first directing. It was written by Billy Bates, who looks like she's written one other movie called Christmas No Filter.
Okay.
Which came out the same year. So got that. And then it stars Donovan Colan as Jake, Jaiden J. Smith, no relation to Jaden Smith, or Will Smith, as Bo, Dylan Martin Frankel as Carson, Marissa Reyes as Kate, Rachael Leigh Cook as Sue, Billy Roy as Joni, Christopher Lloyd as Alex Windsor, Marla Gibbs as Grandma G. You got Brad Carter as Frank. That's pretty much the main cast here. So yeah. So how's this movie start?
So Christopher Lloyd's character, Alec, he's like a big business guy. He's trying to buy up all of the buildings of the area and kind of build up the town essentially. And he's got an eviction notice for this woman, and basically he's like, okay, you can't do anything about it now. You could stay and watch us, destroy the building if you want, watch the fireworks, I think was the term he used. And so she puts a spell on him. At first, it seems like it doesn't really work. It kind of seems like she's kind of like imagining that she's doing a spell because there's like thunder and the clouds are getting really close to them. But then he kind of like fakes having a heart attack. And so I thought like, oh, maybe she was just imagining that she's a witch.
Yeah.
But then he takes like 2 or 3 steps away, and then he actually does die. And
there's also a little girl there with her.
Yeah,
is either her daughter. I think this was like it seemed to be like an orphanage too, there or something there. So it was like kind of confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure, so I thought maybe it was a daughter, just someone she's taking care of.
And she's she's humming this tune, which comes in play later. But yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she's humming the tune, and then we get into our time, and we got this dumb thing where this kid named Carson is a whopping 8 months older than his best friend Jake, but somehow he thinks like he's like 20 years older than him for some reason. And like they shouldn't hang out because he's like a man now, I guess, or something. I don't know.
Well, he's got peach fuzz on his chest, so
I can understand if you're a year older, maybe, or 2 years older. Definitely, I can understand when you're at that age. Maybe a year if you're pushing it, but 8 months, really? Come on.
Yeah. Well,
like,
yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, because like I hung out with kids older and younger than me when I was that age, so it doesn't, you know.
I don't know, but it's like acting like he's like too cool for his best friend, and he doesn't want to do the kid stuff anymore. He's too old.
Yeah, he wants to try to go to a high school party. These kids are all like probably about 13, and like in middle school or whatever. So yeah,
I know it was really dumb. And you got Jake, whose dad died of bone cancer, which will come into later, that specifically mentioned.
It's blood cancer, but yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just. And so Jake's got a stepfather, the whole like, I don't like my stepdad. He's not going to replace my real dad, type of thing or whatever. Even then, they don't really go into that too much either. It's just kind of like like, oh, I don't like him very much, and that's it. Like there's no real conflict involved. It's just that's a lot of this movie. There really is no like that kind of. It's like everything's like very surface level, very shallow, where it's like the conflicts people have with each other are just that's it, and like there's really nothing deeper for it.
It's like they're trying to make some kind of connection to the audience to give you some kind of like feelings about it. But my thing is, it's like they're trying to make you feel sorry for Jake, but he's actually an asshole. So it's
yeah, he is. Like he doesn't want to take his little sister trick or treating. He wants
his stepsister, by the way. Yeah, so yeah.
Stepsister? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was his stepsister because it was his stepfather's kid. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And and he doesn't want to take her trick or treating. His mom is like, hey, you really have to start making effort to actually like spend time with her. You're not just gonna hang out in your room and brood all day long. And so he's like, whatever, mom, who cares? What you think or whatever. So he gets this idea. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah. He's like they have the scene too where it's like he's all upset because his dad. I mean, which makes sense. They're trying to make you feel sorry, but his dad and him used to like go all out for Halloween, and it's like his little stepsister wants to dress up as a princess, and he's like, princesses suck and stuff like that to her. Like they're not scary, blah blah blah, and it's just like, okay, dude. We get it. You're a teenager.
You don't have to be scary. You can dress up as a different kind of character.
Yeah, I mean the if you want to listen to our previous episode about Halloween where we talk about the history of it, which we did a few years ago, you can check that out and find out. I mean, the origins of it are in fear and scares and stuff, but still, that's not what it is nowadays. But I mean, it's like that ultra conservative Christian woman who dressed up her kid and herself and says, we don't believe in Halloween. We just like to dress up and have fun. That is Halloween.
My God. Okay, whatever.
Yeah. It's like Halloween we just is evil.
On the day. We have to do it on the day, and then...
Yeah. We don't like to go trick-or-treating or anything. We just like to dress up and have candy and have fun and wait.
Sure. Okay. We don't do birthday parties. We just have a cake and candles, and we give presents to the person. But we don't sing song "Happy Birthday," so it's not a birthday party. I
don't believe in premarital sex, but I do believe it's okay for a man and a woman to lay in bed together and fornicate. But I don't believe in premarital sex. Wait, what?
What? It's like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I know. And then, so he gets this idea where he wants to do something scary so Carson will want to hang out with them. So they go to some movie. Carson's not interested in it. They're like all sleeping through it.
Yeah, it's they have like a little puppet show there at the movie theater that tells the story of Alec Windsor, the Christopher Lloyd's character who died at the beginning of the movie. So, and is now a spirit that supposedly haunts the town. So yeah.
Yeah, there's like a whole legend for him, and Jake gets the idea of like, why don't we just, break into Spirit Halloween and commit a felony and just stay the night there, and somehow that's going to be scary.
Well, technically here, they did not break in. They just went in before the store closed and stayed there and didn't leave.
That's the thing too. What kind of bad employee are you? We don't check to make sure that people haven't left the building.
And the thing is this is like right before Halloween here. The movie, I don't know if there was like some kind of like COVID restrictions or what, but there was like no customers in the store most of the time.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know. And
it's like I'm sorry, it's the equivalent of like having nobody in the stands at the Super Bowl. I mean, It's like, what the fuck?
It's like if you see like 3 or 4 people going in the store and they never come out, and you don't even like, that's weird, and so you just go close up the shop and leave.
Yeah.
Like, I guess the job wasn't that important enough to them, which fine, fair, but
these are people that are only hired for like 2 or 3 months anyways, so they don't really give a shit.
They probably don't give a shit, but yeah,
probably
so they
a bunch of ex-cons and pedophiles and I'm just joking.
What?
I'm saying that's probably who they're hiring.
I think was that skit from SNL, is that why you thought about that? Because the guy was like...
Yeah, but I mean, it's probably true though. I don't know. I'm just joking. No, I don't want to like criticize anybody that's worked for Spirit Halloween or the company itself. So please don't sue us.
Right? No, because he's making a reference from a sketch from SNL last night where they're talking about Spirit Halloween, like giving people jobs for 6 weeks or whatever. And then,
I mean, this was, guys, by the time this airs, it'll be several weeks ago, but yeah.
Yeah, so he's like ringing up some girl, and he's like, are you over the age of 18? She's like, no. It's like, okay, I'm not legally allowed to talk to you. So this person's gonna ring you up or whatever. And then it's like a nurse's cosplay. Like, this is gonna look really good though. It's like, wow. Oh boy. But so they hide. Yeah, they hide, and then they get out of their casket and whatever else they're hiding in, and just the plan, I guess, is just to stay there. I guess, I don't know, like just play around with the toys.
Yeah,
and, I don't know, whatever.
Which would be kind of fun. I mean, it's kind of like it reminded me in a way, where you're staying overnight, even though this was a different thing where this guy was cleaning the place. But do you ever see the movie Career Opportunities where Frank Whaley's in like a guy cleaning Target and he's in there all night and Jennifer Connelly's in it? It's a good movie.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Highly recommend that movie. It's good.
All right.
I mean, it could just be that, when I first saw it, I think that was one of the first times where I was like, I like girls because Jennifer Connelly was so hot in it. But anyways, so
funny.
They stay in there and they start playing with all the products and animatronics in the store and stuff, and there's like a little fortune teller thing, and it starts to come to life with the voice of Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, they're asking it questions like how, I don't even remember what they're asking, but they basically one of the last questions was something about, is Alec here? Is he? Yeah. No, it was, is he here to haunt us or just hang out or whatever? Yeah. And then it says, I'm like, well, you gave it 2 questions, so how do you know what the answer is from it? And
it's like the people when I used to work in concession stands, and I would ask them when they got a hot dog, and I was like, "Do you want any? Do you want ketchup, mustard, or relish with that?" And they'd be like, "Yeah." And I'd be like, "Which ones do you want? Do you want all 3? Do you want just 2 of them? Do you want?"
Right? Like, yeah. I'm like, no, it's not. When you're not answering the question, like, not being clear. So this Alec dude, he's like a spirit now, like a blue spirit orb looking, not really an orb, like some kind of weird shape. And I guess the story is that every Halloween he has to possess something in order to, quote, rest, but he has to possess a human, I guess, or something. I don't know.
He can it's like he's kind of stuck between worlds, I guess, between life and the afterlife, and he can he doesn't have to, but he's able to possess objects or people, and if he is in a person for a certain amount of time, he ends up basically possessing them permanently.
Like, yeah, he gets on them. I think it's like as long as it's before midnight, he gets to, or if midnight comes and he's still in that person or whatever, he gets to stay in there forever, I guess. And then he could just die for real whenever he dies, I guess. I don't know. And then a weird plot. They didn't really go too much into it. But we do know that the spell from the beginning has something to do with it, or at least that is assumed. But we do have this kind of creepy character who's Bo's grandmother, who's always sitting on a porch outside, like, and just like scares everyone because they think she's like either dead or asleep, and then she'll just like speak in like a spooky voice.
She's got like kind of a like clouded over eye, one of her eyes.
And, one of her eyes like is completely
And she's played by Marla Gibbs, who people will know from 227 or The Jeffersons. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And then and so she like talks in a spooky voice like, "Don't let them stay up too late" or whatever, and he's like, "Oh my god, sure, don't." And then we'll get into that later about who she might be in relation to the story. And so Alec starts possessing these really creepy, like animatronics, like this really tall skull-like figure that's supposed to represent death. Is like 8 feet tall or some shit like that, and glowing red eyes and chasing after them until they're like, well, wait a minute, this thing's made of plastic. I mean, why are we acting like this is a real creature, so they like, so they end up like beating up, knocking off the head or whatever of it. It was interesting. You got like a B plot where she's supposed to be going to like a high school party, but then
Kate, her character's name is Kate. The actress is Marissa.
Kate is, Sue's like, oh, did Carson take his phone? And she's like, yeah, but then she sees his phone on the bed, so she takes it with.
She's Carson's older half sister, and she's also like, Jake has a huge crush on her, so.
Yeah, so we got that, very mini character development that pretty much goes nowhere, but and which is fine, it's not that kind of movie. So she's one of the B plots is her kind of running around town trying to find Carson. We have a C plot where Sue is also driving around town because she's suspicious that they lied, doing the whole, oh, I'm staying over at so and so's house, type of scheme that a lot of kids do that think is so clever at all. But whatever. Hey, they're learning how to do schemes, so you got to start somewhere. And then Kate eventually gets to the store. She I forgot how she knew that it might be there. I forgot the reason that she thought maybe. Do you remember why? How she figured out that they were there? Or
I do not remember.
Maybe she saw a bike. Maybe she saw their bikes.
I remember. She just finds out that they stay there. I don't even know how. I can't remember. I'm trying to think if she just was looking.
How she got.
Yeah.
Whatever. She got there. I'm thinking maybe she saw their bikes. That's what I'm gonna say. Just because that makes sense. Well, it makes sense of how she found out, other than just guessing,
Yeah.
Why would you guess? I mean, like, that's a weird, unless the town is just that small where there's just not much going on, I guess, you could just go ahead and just, throw a Hail Mary and just hope that maybe that's the truth. And
she checked everywhere else and we just didn't see it.
I mean, that could have been, because the movie would have been like 2 hours if that were the case. And so just her walking around town and then Sue driving around town. That's the whole movie. And then they all die inside Spirit Halloween store. No, it didn't happen. But Kate ends up, because the doors are locked, obviously, because they're closed. So then she goes on top of the building and goes through like one of the chutes or whatever. I don't know if it's fire escape or I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, I think it might be like a skylight or something or fire.
Yeah. And so she, they find her, and at this point, Alec is pretty much just like terrorizing them with his various possessions. Like I said, the death guy, they end up knocking his head off. He possessed a few other things. At one point, he possesses this weird looking fucking weird kind of thing. Scared the shit out of me. Like I would not want to see that in someone's Halloween decorate. I just walk away.
Yeah.
Because like my niece Evie wants me to take her trick or treating this year. I'm like, okay, but if I see something like that, we're just skipping that house. We're not even going. Right? Like I'm sorry. I don't even care if they're like, handing out regular size candy bars, not like the mini shit. Like we're not going.
I'm just going to remind you that you're an adult and these things aren't real. And
I don't care. Still scary no matter what they're real or not. I mean, come on, that's like if I watch, a horror movie, I know it's not real, but it still scares me. And I don't like being so I used to do something stupid when I was a kid, and then that is the reason why I don't like scary stuff that much anymore, unless it's just like conceptually scary. It's fine. Those type of horror movies where there's not a whole lot of violence, it's the concept of the movie that's scary, which I'm okay with. I don't like blood, guts, and slashing, jump scares. I don't like that stuff. And the reason why, I think, is because when I was a kid, all the way going up to maybe when I was like 13, 14, I would intentionally try to force myself to have scary dreams. Sometimes, not all the time. And then sometimes it would work, and I would end up having a terrifying dream. And then in the dream, I was actually like pissed off at my real self, knowing that I caused myself to have this dream. And so I'll be like mad at myself in the weird dream world. As I'm experiencing the dream halfway, I'm also know that I created the dream itself. So there's like two stories going on at the same time in my mindscape. And then something similar would happen almost every dream I would have like this. The characters would be different each time. But what would happen is that one of them would always be walking very slowly towards me, menacing way. And then for some reason, I would fall to the ground. I couldn't walk. And I would, like every single time this happened, I couldn't walk and I could crawl barely at all. You know, that's probably why I was probably having sleep paralysis at this time going on. So my body itself was probably rigid and couldn't move. Yes. So in my dream, the similar thing is happening. So then I did this for about 8 years, starting when I was like 5 or 6 years old. I started doing this to myself for no apparent reason. I wasn't into scary shit. I wasn't into like those kind of movies or stories, and for some reason, you know, came in and I thought, okay, great, maybe I'll just force myself to have horrifying dreams for no apparent reason. So basically, though, I would do that. So now when I see shit in real life, like Halloween decorations that are super scary, it's like I don't want anything to do with those at all. Just want to leave them.
I used to have a recurring nightmare when I was a kid, up until I was in high school, where I was in a woods being chased by a giant rabbit, like a rabbit that was like taller than the trees. And weirdest thing, the last night I had it was the night before I got cast in the play Harvey, which is about a 6 foot tall invisible rabbit.
Wow. Maybe that's what ended the cursed dream, because then you got to be in the play and you're able to then consciously defeat your fear of the giant rabbit through the play, which then meant... Because I used to have another dream. So sometimes I would have scary dreams without even trying to, as almost like an after effect of me intentionally making myself have scary dreams. And then I was like sixth grade, around 12 years old at this point. I would have this reoccurring dream for that entire school year where a vampire was choking me to death. Not biting me, always choking me for some reason. And I'd wake up with like my arms like literally across my chest, like not around my neck, across my chest. And I would scare the shit out of me. And then finally, you know, towards the end of the school year, around like March or early April, at this point, I was actually sleeping out on the couch outside of my bedroom because for some reason I thought that would not be as scary. I don't know why I thought that, whatever. And then I killed the vampire in the dream, and then I never had the dream ever since, like, you know, 30 years later. It's interesting. Anyway, that's a weird tangent.
So in the movie then, we have, you know, like Kate shows up and she's gonna try to help them. They end up somehow trying to escape, and they go into the back room of this old Toys R Us that's now a Spirit Halloween, and they find this like hatch that they can go into, and it takes them underground into this huge cave under the store.
Oh, it's like what?
I mean, I'm not sure about all Toys R Us's, but I always assumed all Toys R Us's had a big random cave underneath them. I don't know about you, but
keep all the good toys, you know.
Yeah.
The good shit, you know, they all the crappy shit they put out front, you know, but you have to ask, and then if you ask, they know that you know, so they're legally required
to like
take you down to the cave.
Do you have the new Transformer in the back? And they're like, yeah, come with me.
I mean, that's what I thought when I was a kid when Back to the Future 2 came out. My neighbor's mom told him that they sell the hovercrafts from Back to the Future 2 in the back in the warehouse area, but you can only get it if you ask them, and then they'll sell it to you, but they don't have it up front. And I believed that for like a year. I was like, oh my god, they actually sell the hovercrafts. But now they've actually built hovercrafts that, I mean, they're not, you know, as good as the ones in the movie are, but they don't
really float per se.
Well, they're like, they're like powered by flame, like sometimes through not flames, but sometimes through like like magnetic or something like that. I forgot. I saw something where...
I mean, the hoverboard. They do have hoverboards, but they're not really hovering.
They're not. Yeah,
Yeah.
They're kind of like powered by something. Like
yeah, they're basically like a Segway without the top of it or something. But anyway, so so they're underneath in this cave, and they have this, the Alec Windsor comes through, like he's dressed up as different characters. He ends up coming in as that really creepy wraith thing underneath the ground, and they end up melting him with a can of Raid and some fire that Bo has, because Bo's like really into chemistry, so he understands how that shit works. Yeah, they tried to give him a personality.
They tried. I mean,
yeah. So they end up figuring out that there's like they avoid him, and basically he ends up leaving the final like animatronic, and at one point Alec takes over Kate's body.
Yeah.
This is before, well, actually after. I mean, they discovered what they needed to do. They needed to take the head of so many of the things that he possessed, and what else was it that they needed?
They needed I don't remember what the spell was. They needed a bunch of shit. I don't remember. And because they figured out somehow
they needed to put all this stuff in something and burn it. And the key ingredient was something that was very sentimentally important to somebody. So Kate was originally going to give them this like locket she had or something. Necklace. Yeah. That was important to her, and so, but Alex steals that, so they can't use that. And then he possesses her later, and so they've got to find something else. And they have this big argument, and Bo of all people tells Jake that he needs to move on from losing his father, and that Carson needs to focus on helping his friend recover from it or something. But it's like they decide that they need to take this thing, and he has a sentimental picture from a Halloween with his dad in it, that they decide that that's what they need to do to get rid of the thing. But then that ends up getting eaten by Kate when she's possessed by Alec, and
because Alec did. So
and so they end up having to burn, like he has Jake has this book that's all about like magic spells and scary shit, and they end up using that because that was something that was given to him by his dad, so it was sentimental, so they have to use that to get rid of the shit.
Get rid of the shit. Yeah.
Get rid of Alec. And so that happens. So the spirit leaves Kate, and so, and he's defeated. And so Sue finds them at the place too. They end up leaving the store. Everything's cool. You have a little like romantic tension between Kate and Jake, and she gives him a kiss on the cheek, but nothing more, because they're probably like 2 years apart, so that's like a million years, and could.
Plus, he did try to kiss her though before that. Like,
yeah, he
like,
did.
Whoa,
but,
hey, bro. Like,
she eventually gives him a kiss on the cheek. So, but they basically everybody apologizes. Jake apologizes to his family, and the Spirit Halloween employee returns to the store and finds the store like in complete shambles. And then we're like the next Halloween or something, and Jake ends up taking his little kid sister out. Oh yeah, earlier in the movie though. His kid's sister, at one point, she's in the bedroom. She comes in the bedroom of Jake, and she just is talking, and randomly, a complete non sequitur, she just says, "I'm sorry your dad died of bone cancer."
It's like, what the hell?
Which is the greatest line in the whole movie. Anyways,
so how long at that point were they like a new family? Like how, like, did they even explain how, like, was it a year or two when his dad died? Like, I mean, did they even explain like when this happened?
Like, did his dad die since the last Halloween, or has he been gone a couple years? I don't know.
Weird thing to say if you've already been a family for a while. I'm sorry your dad, like, that would be something you would say like current, like if it just happened or happened a little bit ago.
Like the first time you meet each other and you're talking about things, and but I mean, I guess I could see a little girl taking a little while to work that up to tell her stepbrother, but still, it's like, I don't know, it was weird. But anyways, we have the end of the movie, and then there's a random scene where Grandma G is in the cave in and she basically casts a spell that seems to revive Windsor's ghost before the credits roll. There was an earlier scene where Grandma G was humming the same song as the little girl from the beginning of the movie, so that basically clues us into the fact that she is the daughter of the witch from the beginning of the movie, and she's also a witch. So, yeah.
That's what I was thinking too, getting from that. So basically, she does this every year to kind of force him to like never be able to
move on. I mean, it kind of set it up perfectly for a sequel that we'll probably never see, because the movie, it did go into theaters, and it made $81,377.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it's made on, like, streaming and DVD sales and whatnot, but it's
I don't know if that's gonna bore a sequel. I really wouldn't.
Probably not.
I wouldn't watch it if they did.
No,
personally, I'd be like, okay.
It's like they kind of wanted to like make this movie something like a Goonies or something like that, but it didn't really work, So it was like a Goonies or a Stand By Me sort of thing. Yeah.
And also the cover almost looked like they were ripping off Stranger Things a little bit too.
Probably because that was pretty popular at the time. So when this came out. So, and I mean, it had this like 80s feel, except for it took place in 2022. So it was like,
right. No, exactly. I don't know, man. It was okay. It's just, I don't know.
I mean, it's something I could probably see my great niece like enjoying. My 5-year-old great niece maybe liking it now, in a year or two or something. But but honestly, if you want a kid to see something better, have them watch an old 80s movie that's better than this. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Goonies, but Goonies is better than this. So it's like.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, I was never like a Goonies guy. Like, I never saw
told somebody that the other day, and they looked at me like I killed their grandma or something. It was like.
It's like, I don't know. It's like everyone's got this like almost weird like religious devotion to this movie, and I'm just like, I just don't like it. I don't really see why people think it's like the greatest thing in the history of cinema. And I'm like, okay.
There's so many movies like that where everybody's like, oh, this is such a great movie, and I'm just like, half the time I play along and say, yeah, it's so good, yeah.
Well, the thing I've been doing lately for a lot of things, I don't know why I've just thought of it now. I'll just say something like, yeah, that's interesting. Like, I'm not really agreeing or disagreeing. I was like, yeah, that's really interesting.
That's what you do when you're not listening to somebody. It's like, oh yeah, you don't say, yeah.
Too. Although I'm usually pretty good at, showing my attention to what someone's saying, almost to a fault. Yeah, because half the time they don't do it to me. But whatever. Well,
What was that? I wasn't.
I say half the time. Yeah, exactly. That was
anyway. So, it's like I think it was a decent movie, and like I said, it's worth maybe something to just put on in the background, but not anything to pay for.
Right, yeah, don't pay for this movie at all, please.
Yeah, I mean it's on like Tubi, but it's also on if you have Amazon Prime, it's on there. So it's like currently, and I'm sure it will be in the future. So any final thoughts here?
No, not really. There's nothing else to say.
Yeah. I mean, as far as like any kind of trivia goes, the film was actually filmed inside of a real Spirit Halloween store in Georgia.
Wow.
I don't know if they opened it up early and filmed in there or what they did, but it was actually it was an old Toys R Us that was a Spirit Halloween that year. So
yeah, there was so much stuff in there too.
And I'm sure they had to be careful though too, because they couldn't show like licensed stuff, like like a I don't know, like a Barbie costume or a or Freddy Krueger costume or whatever, so anyways, hope you guys have had a good spooky season here, and this is our last of our all 2 October episodes this season. If you have any suggestions for next year, let us know. Send me any of your suggestions to mike@cullenpark.com. Also, go to all2real2.com and check out our show, everywhere that you can listen to it. Give us a 5-star review anywhere you can. Comment on the episodes anywhere you can on YouTube or on Spotify. Just keep us in the algorithm, people.
The Al Gore rhythm.
Yes.
Because Al Gore, he's got the rhythm.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't. Anyway, so the...
No, he does. He invented the internet. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Actually,
and
that's a myth.
I invented podcasts. No.
Yeah. Just for anyone who might be younger than the age of 50.
Yeah, he did not.
Me and Mike are kind of in the,
we be old.
Somewhat,
no.
Somewhat older side of things. Not really old, but we're kind of. So Al Gore was a politician from like the 90s up to the 2000s, and there was this talking point that he claimed that he invented the internet, but he never actually said that. Someone who was making fun of him on the other side of the political spectrum said that he said he invented the internet, but never actually said that. And so for years there was like this running joke where it's like, oh yeah, you're the Al Gore claimed he invented the internet, and it's like, no, he never did. And
what I've heard is like he invented the hoverboard, and that if you went into the back of the store and you wanted to buy one, you'd actually get it handed to you directly from Al Gore.
Yeah, like he would drive or fly all the way, which is weird because he made that movie about climate change. He was flying all over the world, but no, just to deliver hoverboards to people. But
no, he would just travel on the hoverboard from city to city.
Yeah, he would just, recharge it when he needed to, and, put some miles on it, for sure to get to you. But that's okay. He broke it in,
hoverboard. Yeah. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hope you have a good spooky Halloween tonight if you're listening to this on the day, or if you're listening to it afterwards, have a good rest of the year. And like I said, check out our website. Tell people to listen to the show. Share the episodes. Do all the stuff, check out the social medias and all that good stuff. Comment, tell me that you think I'm ugly, even though you can't see me. I like to hear it. Anyways, folks, just remember one thing, that I love you. Sesame loves you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry your dad died of bone cancer. Free Palestine. Trans lives are human lives. Happy Halloween. And until next time, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All Too Real 2 podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.